Good morning. Today we are going to be covering section 4.1. So we are starting a new chapter. So you want to have your callouts with you. You should have all your callouts that says 4.1, including the graphs. And you should also have the next callouts, which are the word problems. Otherwise, you can write them down. Just go and pause it. And you'll have plenty of time to write them down. So in this case, I'm going to use my tab. And I like to color it first. I'm going to just highlight it and then carefully cut it, and that way I don't have to worry about going off the lines. So that makes it a bit easier, correct? So therefore, you want to, I have my other tabs here, so therefore I'm going to place it right over here. I'm going to glue it, and then if you want, you can tape it afterwards. Just make sure that you glue it all the way through with your glue stick. But if you want to use tape, you can use tape as well. Not a problem. So let me go and place it here. I'm going to fold it and line it. I like to be able to place them all the way through, so that way they are not sticking out. So I'm gonna have to do this. Nice. Well, what's going on today? That's why look there. Much better. Well, that's good enough for today. So therefore, that is my tab. I'm going to go and place tape afterwards. Just once I place the tape, they last a little longer. Now let's go and place our margin. I'm going to make 6 squares. 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. And I'm going to place my line all the way through. Though you can make comments, helps us organize our work. But you don't want, if you have larger grade, just go and use 4, which is fine. So we have 4.1. Writing equations of lines. So I'm going to zoom in, and then I'll get out of your way. That might make it easier. So writing equations of lines. So today we are going to cover a very easy lesson. Now, the lines that we're going to cover or write are going to be in slope-intercept form. So therefore, I'm going to use my cutout, and I'm going to glue it. So we're going to take time to cut your cutout. If you don't have your cutout, then just go and copy it down. You can pause it and then copy it down. And then just go and place a little square around it. And that will help you organize your notes a bit more. So I'm going to glue it, make sure I get the corners all the way through. And now that I'm set, I'm going to place it all the way on to the top. And that's perfect. So let's go and read through it. Recall that the graph of an equation in slope-intercept form is as follows. Let me get my corners. So if you recall, we graphed on the last unit, and we were able to use the slope in the y-intercept, where we know that your slope is your m and your y-intercept is your b. And you can use this form to write an equation of a line if you know its slope and the y-intercept. So as long as we are able to know that the slope and the y-intercept are given to us, then we can use this equation to be able to write the equation of a line. Easy as that. So let's go through example number 1. Now, example number 1. And it says, write the equation of the line And you do need to copy down the entire word problem. I'll zoom in a bit more. With y-intercept of 0, 5. Now sometimes they'll say y-intercept of 5, but we know that y-intercept is a point, correct? And a slope of -3. And now we know that what's given to us, the information that is given is for y-intercept. I'm going to highlight it the same that we were highlighting or b. And or slope, I'm going to underline it in red. So you should have your red pen with you. And I'm just going to do a quick underline. And I'm going to circle my slope. Now, my y-intercept is my b. So every time I see my y-intercept, that is the b, and I'm going to place a b underneath. So b is 5, and I'm going to highlight the b because we highlighted the y-intercept before. So we're going through the same process as before. Intercept. And our slope is -3. So therefore, as soon as they give us the slope and the y-intercept, we can use this equation. So y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, so therefore y equals -3 x plus b, and your b is your 5. And that is all that we are doing today. Easy as that. Let's try one more. Example number 2. So I'm going to draw the line. Just make it all the way through. And that way we can read our examples a little easier. So example number 2 will be exactly the same process. Write the equation on the line. Of a line with a slope of 1/4, -1/4, and a y-intercept of 0, -2. So once again, they're giving us the information that we need. They're giving us the slope and they're giving us the y-intercept. So I'm going to highlight, what should I highlight? The y-intercept or the slope? Correct. I should highlight the y-intercept. So we're going to go through the same process as we have before. And my slope, I'm going to circle it in red. So I'm going to underline it and circle. So I'm going to underline my slope and then circle it so I know what number to use. Now, one of the things that you have to be careful is that for your y-intercept, we are only using the -2 is the b. And now we can write down the equation. Y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to replace two things. I'm going to replace my slope and I'm going to replace my y-intercept. So therefore, my slope is 1/4. And that will give me y equals -1/4 x plus b, where your b is -2. And that's it. That is all that we're doing today. But as long as they give you two things, they need to give you your slope and your y-intercept. For example number 3, we are going to use the graphs that are in new cutouts. So let me go and place my line through. We'll try once again. There you go. And example number 3. Find the equation of the lines. And we have A, B, C, and D. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut each one. Or if I want, I can cut 2 at a time. In this case, I'm just going to cut each one separately. That might give us a little more space. Carefully cut through. And I want to leave that A in there, so that way I can keep track of each of our graphs. We have A, B, C, and D. So notice that they're all labeled nice and neat. And let's get rid of the extra papers. So let's go and glue A, B, and let's see if we can fit the other ones underneath. We might have to do the other ones on the next page. So let's do this ones underneath, and then we'll do the next ones on the next page. A and B. And if by any chance you don't have your cutouts, then just go and copy them down. Just make a nice grid, a 5 by 5. And what we're trying to find the equation of the line. Perfect. Make sure you get your corners. And now for letter A, I'm trying to find the equation of this line. So what we need to do is we need to be able to find 2 things. What are the 2 things that we need to find? Correct. I need to be able to find my slope, my M, and I'm going to place my slope in red. My slope has to be found. And I also need to be able to find my y-intercept. Let me move myself out of the way. That might be helpful, right? So therefore my M is my slope, and I also need to be able to find my B. My B is going to be a point. Sometimes when they write down as a value, and then we can write down below, we can write down as a point. My slope. So to be able to find the slope, we're going to do the same thing that we did on the last lesson. We are going to go from this point to this point. And now I'm going to go up and to the right. How many up? 1, 2. And to the right, 1, 2, and 3. And now I need to think, is my slope positive or is my slope negative? What do you think? Correct. My line, if I write slope on the line, my slope is going up, so therefore it will be positive. And now what is my B? To find my B, I'm going to highlight my y-axis, and I'm going to see where does it cross the y-axis. It crosses at 1. So therefore my B is 1, so my y-intercept is 0, 1. So my B is 1, but the y-intercept is 0, 1. So therefore I can use my equation, y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope y equals 2 over 3 x, don't forget your x, and now this is a positive one, so I'm going to be plus 1. And that is the equation of this line. Now remember that today we're doing the opposite of what we did before. Previously, we were given the equation and we had to graph it. Now we are given the graph and we need to come up with the equation. So let's do the second one together. First, I need to find two things. What are those two things I need to find? My slope and my y-intercept. So therefore, my m and my b. My b will be the y value for the y-intercept. So let me find my slope first. To find my slope, I'm going to go from one point to another. So in this case, I'm going to start with, I usually start with the point that's further to the left. So I can go always to the right. So I'm going to start with this point. This point, I'm going to go from that point to this point. And I'm going to go down. How many do I need to go down? 1, 2, 3, 4. And to the right, 1. And now that I find my slope is 4 over 1, I can rewrite it as just 4. Correct? I don't need that over 1. I do need that over 1 if I need to graph it. But in this case, it's already graphed, so I don't need that over 1. And now my b, where does it cross the y-axis? So what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to get your highlighter, and I need you guys to highlight your y-axis. So that is, where does it cross? It crosses at 3. So therefore be 3. And my y-intercept is 0, 3. But in this case, the only thing that I need, I just need the value of b. So therefore, my equation will be y equals mx plus b. So therefore, be 4x plus b, which will be plus 3. Perfect. So let's go over to the next page and work on example number 4, because doing it from a graph is essential. So we are going to do 2 more, A and B, or C and D, and that'll be still example number 3. So let's just go and continue. We're going to place our margin 2, 4, 6. I'm just going to leave 6 bars. And now I'm going to glue letter C and letter D. Make sure that you guys are gluing all the corners, otherwise they'll be coming off soon. And that'll be letter C. And now letter D. So we're going to go through the same process where we are given the graphs, and now I need to be able to find the equations of those lines. So there are two things that you need. What are those two things? The slope and the y-intercept. So let's go and use our red pen for the slope on each one. It might be, now in this case, I just need the value of b, so I'm no longer going to write down as a point. So what do you guys want to find out first? You want to find your slope or your y-intercept first? So let's go find the slope first. So I'll go from, now in this case, you have to be careful because now you need to be able to see which points do you want to actually locate. Let me make myself a little larger. So in this case, notice that that point I can use. You see it? I'll use this point here. But you have to be careful because if you look carefully, that's not a corner point. And that's not a point, that's not a corner point, that's not it, that's not it, but this one is. So do you guys see the difference? So notice that you have to be paying close attention, zoom in. That's not it, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, and that's it. That crosses a specific point. So therefore, I'm going to use those 2 points. And my slope is going to be negative because it's going down, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3. So it'll be -3 over. How many to the right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So therefore, -3 over 4. And now my b. To find my b, I'm going to highlight my y-axis, which is my y-intercept will be 3. So therefore, my b will be 3. And now we can write down the equation of the line. So therefore, it will be y equals my slope, which is -3 over 4x plus 3. And that is the equation. So try the next one by yourselves and see what you get. Go ahead and pause it, and we'll compare our answers afterwards. Pause it. You got it? Excellent. So first, I want to find points. So let me zoom in so I can find my points. Let's see, I can use that point here, or I can use this point here. Well, I want to use that one because that one crosses the y-axis. It's actually at the, what is this point called? Do you remember what that point is called? Correct, that's called the origin. So I use that point. I cannot use this point, right? That one doesn't cross, but I can use that one there. This point here. So therefore, I'm going to go 1, 2. My slope is +2. Positive because it's going up, and over 1. So therefore, it'll be just 2. And what is my b? In this case, my b is, where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses the y-axis at 0. Correct. And therefore, my equation will be y equals my 2x plus 0. But I don't need a 0, so I'm just going to leave it as that. Now, if you want to place a +0, that will be perfectly okay. Now, next, we're going to go over 2 word problems. And that way, we're able to fill them. And then we can do the other 2 in class. So have you cut up? Otherwise, you can take the time to write them down. It's up to you. And I'm just going to cut them carefully. And this is section 4.1. And then I'm just going to glue it here. And we're just going to have space for example 4. And then we'll do example number 5 in class. Or next time I'll see you. So therefore, I'm going to glue my corners, glue everything in there. And now I can place it. Now line it up. Actually, I'll just place it in the center. That works a lot better. We have more space for each of the problems, correct? So I want you guys to do one thing. I want you guys to read it. I want you guys to highlight the key information, and then we can work through it afterwards. So go ahead and read example number 4a and see what you get, or see what you think. Pause it. You got it? So your parents will let you use their minivan to take friends to a hockey game. Tickets for the game are going to cost $7 per person, and the parking is $20. So whenever you think about this type of problems, you need to think about there's going to be an initial fee and a fee that repeats over and over and over and over again. So we have 2 numbers, right? We have $7 per person, and parking is $20. So I want you guys to think, which is the fee that's going to repeat over and over again? Correct. The $7 per person, correct? Every person that you take is going to be $7, $7, $7, $7, $7. The parking is going to be paid only once. So therefore, your slope, which one do you think your slope is? Correct. Your slope is the one that repeats over and over again, your 7. And the y-intercept is going to be 20. So what I want you guys to think is, or we can think about it more logically, which is the one that repeats over and over again is your 7. So be 7 every person. So therefore, I'm going to use P plus your initial amount, which is 20. And that'll be equal to Y. Or where the Y is going to be the money. So this, the Y is going to be the money. How much money are you going to spend taking all your friends to a hockey game? So therefore it says write the equation that represents the total cost. So that's what we did on A. And now, how many friends can you take if you can only spend $86? So therefore, you need, for part B, you need to think, do I need to plug in the 86 for the Y, for the money, or 86 P for the person? Correct. 86 is not, you're not taking 86 friends. You wish you were taking 86 friends, but 86 is how much money you have. That goes on the Y. So therefore, that'll be 86 equals 7P plus 20. And now we can solve for P. And now we can decide if you have $86, how many friends can you take? So now I can solve it, and now we can solve it the same way that we've been solving equations. So how can I leave the P by itself? That is the question. So I'm going to move my 20 to the left. You can say negative 20. Or you can do minus 20 on both sides. That gives me 66 equals 7P. And now I'm going to divide by 7. Divide by 7. My 7 cancels. And now I have P equals 66 divided by 7. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 9 is 63. So it'll be 9, 63. How many thirds we have? 3 left, right? So 9 times 7 is 63, plus 3 more is 66. So therefore, how many people can you pay for? So P will be equal to 7. Because, actually, 9. You don't have enough money for the next person. So how many friends can you take? Well, if you have a pay for 9 people, you can only take how many do you think? 8 friends. And why only 8 friends? Because you have to pay for yourself. Now, example number 4B, or we can say 5. Go and read through it, and I want you guys to think about that process. Which is the fee that repeats over and over again versus the fee that you only pay once? Go ahead and pause it, read through it, and we can work it out. And that'll be our last example for today. So it says the service station charges $4 per hour for labor plus the cost of parts to repair the car. The parts will cost $200. We need to be able to write the equation that represents the cost. And then we need to be able to decide how much it's going to cost if it takes 7 hours to fix the car. So therefore, we have the $40 per hour and the $200 per part. So which is the fee that repeats over and over again? Correct, the $40. So therefore, the 40 is going to be like our slope. $40 every hour. So we're going to write down for 40 every hour. So which variable should I use? Correct. If it's people, I use P. If it's hour, I'm going to use H, plus the $200 that they're going to charge you for the parts. That's going to be only one-time fee. And we have Y equals. So we wrote the equation and says how much will it cost to fix your car if it takes you 7 hours. So therefore, there'll be Y equals. Well, the question is, should I plug in the 7 for the Y, which is the money, or the 7 for the hours, which is hours, for the H, which is hours? Correct. You should be plugging into the H. So it'll be 40 times 7 plus 200. And that makes sense, right? They're going to charge you $40 per hour, and then taking 7 hours to fix your car. So therefore, Y equals 4 times 7 will be 28. I 0 plus 200. Therefore, Y equals to 480. Where $280 was for the hours, for the labor, and $200 was for the part. So how much is it going to cost you? It will cost me, well, it will cost $480 to fix the car. So this will conclude the lesson for today. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.